How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today we're going to be talking about how to best farm the Bunnymen in Don't Starve. Now, when you first enter the underworld, for example, where the Bunnymen dwell, you might first be a little bit confused as to how to even get access to them, because they are very difficult to fight. If you knock one down to half health, they'll automatically run away from you and continue to refuse to engage you. This means it will be nearly impossible to kill one without first cornering it or hitting it with a ranged weapon such as blow darts or maybe a boomerang. And even if you do corner it, well, their drops might actually end up falling into the ocean, which, if you're after the bunny puffs, would actually not be a good thing. It pretty much negates the purpose of actually engaging them in combat in the first place. So what we want to know is how to actually get these Bunnymen to die and do it on our terms. Well, the best way for new players who are not very established in the game yet is simply to befriend a few rock lobsters. You're going to need around 3 to 4 of these, depending upon how many Bunnymen there are, and generally the more rock lobsters and the more Bunnymen, the better, as they will keep them all around in one area. If you only have like one Bunnyman versus one rock lobster, most likely the bunny will never get killed because the rock lobster is a lot slower. So in my example here, I've been using 3 rock lobsters and maybe about 8 Bunnymen, and as you can see in the end results, pretty much all the Bunnymen have been massacred by these rock lobsters, and that's a relatively cheap price to pay for all that extra meat, bunny puffs, and all the carrots. Now how this works is you first feed one of the rock lobsters a mineral. It could be flint, it could be a stone. Just feed one to each rock lobster. It will be enough time, most likely, to get them to fight for you. Then find the Bunnymen. If the Bunnymen are close, this is good because you can get fighting right away, but if they're a little bit distance away, it's still okay. But if your rock lobster stops following you, continue to feed them minerals until you get them to where the Bunnymen are. Once they're within range, make sure you don't have any meat in your inventory, and then simply click on to attack one of the Bunnymen. Now, make sure you don't actually hit the Bunnymen, because otherwise they will target you. But once you issue that command, it is sent to the friendly mobs that are around you, in this case the rock lobsters, and that will get the rock lobsters to engage the Bunnymen on their own. The Bunnymen will target the rock lobsters exclusively, and you can go around picking up the drops that result from the Bunnymen getting killed by the rock lobsters. Make sure you don't pick up the meat though, because once again, the Bunnymen will come after you if you do that. Another and I think this is generally more efficient, more predictable way of farming Bunnymen is simply creating the tooth trap killing pit. This is a pretty standard design. You enclose a little pile of tooth traps with a box with one entrance in and one entrance out, then simply put a piece of meat in your character's inventory, and the Bunnymen will automatically aggro onto you and start following you. Once they do this, simply lead them to the killing pit trap. It depends upon how many Bunnymen are actually in that area. So the more Bunnymen, the more tooth traps you're going to need, but simply just lead them through there, and as they walk through it, they'll get killed before they can actually turn around and run away. So that is a great way to get a lot of Bunnymen in a relatively short amount of time, because unlike the rock lobsters, you don't actually have to wait for them to fight it out. It's really pretty fast. My third method here is probably the most efficient long term, but it takes the most amount of time to set up because you have to build walls around the area. Not necessarily have to, but it definitely makes things a lot easier. So what you can do is you can get like a community of Bunnymen, wall them off into separate areas, and then let them come together once and feed 1 or 2 Bunnymen a carrot. And then once again, like with the rock lobsters, tell them to fight each other. As I've mentioned earlier, this works best if you have a central area where all the drops will be left, because otherwise, once the Bunnymen stop fighting each other, they're going to either eat the carrots or they're going to go after you if you go ahead and try to pick up a lot of the drops, the meat drops especially. So this can definitely be done earlier in the game. You don't have to have the entire setup like what I have right here, but it is a lot better if you do have the setup this way because of how it segments the Bunnymen off into individual areas, making it a lot easier to control where and when they fight, especially considering a lot of the time you're in the darkness to do this. So I hope you found that helpful. Maybe it gave you some ideas on how to get better drops from the Bunnymen, how to make them work for you, maybe even get them up on top of the ground, because I know a lot of times they can seem almost unapproachable because of how they really mass together to attack you. If you attack even a single one of them, they will all go after you. And the same goes if you aggro them with any sort of meat food. So like I said, hopefully this will give you some ideas on how to farm for yourself. Obviously, this is not the only way you can do it. These are just ways that I've done it in the past that have really, I think they've been proven to be efficient, at least on a base level. So in the comment section below, let me know how you deal with Bunnymen in Don't Starve. How do you farm them? I'd be interested to know, get some outside perspective on this, as I can only come up with so many different ideas. Anyway, thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.